all that he had in order to give at least 7 people new life. At least 7 people new life, to make atonement or to make amends for what he had done. Now, if you were listening to the item of things that I just mentioned that Ben is preparing to give to other people, then you realize that his gift would ultimately cost him his life. If you're living, you need your heart. You can't donate your heart to somebody when you need it to circulate your own blood. And Ben realizes this too. In fact, giving up his own life was part of his plan. He felt he didn't deserve to live. And he had convinced himself that the best way to make amends for what he had done was to give 7 people new life, the opportunity for a new beginning. But, and this is important, if you're going to donate something as precious as your own life to other people, well, you want to make sure that the people who receive that gift are worthy recipients. I mean, you don't want to give a heart transplant to somebody who is corrupt and calloused and who's going to use it, to continue in a life of crime. You want to make sure that people are good enough to receive such a costly gift. And so Ben dons the role of an IRS agent. His brother is an IRS agent, so he gets his brother's badge and puts his own picture in it. And he goes around and he begins auditing people at the oddest times and in the oddest ways, asking them questions that no IRS agent would ever have a right to ask. He reads their files, he interviews them, he spies on them in order to determine if the people that he's preparing to give these gifts to are good enough. And some of the people that Ben scans out and spies on prove to be frauds. They appear on the outside to be living a good life, but when you dig a little deeper, when you go beneath the surface, you discover who these people really are. And there's this one character in the movie called Stuart Goodman. And he's one such person. He's a guy in need. He needed a bone marrow transplant or he would die an untimely death. And someone had already given him one, but it didn't work. And so Ben is a match, and he contemplates giving his bone marrow to Stuart Goodman. And on the outside, this guy fits the bill. He's the director of a nursing home that cares for the weak and the aged, people in great need. But as Ben digs deeper, he discovers that Stuart Goodman is a man who's possessed by his greed. Even though he owes the IRS more than $55,000, he's just gone out and bought himself a brand new BMW convertible. Meanwhile, he's asking Ben for an extension on what he owes the government. In fact, Stuart is so greedy that he's willing to cut costs at the nursing home and amass huge bonuses on the backs of the infirm that he's employed to take care of. Just disgusting. Well, people like Stuart Goodman, they get scratched from Ben's list, and he looks for other people. And then there are other people who fit the bill for what Ben is looking for. People like George. Check this out. How you doing, you two?
Good. Big day.
Yep.
No more dialysis, George. See you in the OR.
Yep.
I'll see you there as well.
Yes.
So, I heard you raised enough money to give a couple of kids partial scholarships to college.
It's no big deal. Just convinced a couple of bigwig donors that what the world really needs to see is more Latinos on ice. You know, Ben, I keep asking you this, but why me?
Because you are a good man.
No, really.
Even when you don't know that people are watching you.
And there you have it. George receives a kidney transplant. Ben offers up one of his kidneys for George because George is a good person even when he doesn't know that others are watching him. One of the things I appreciate most about the movie 7 Pounds is the fact, or the way that it impresses upon us, the fact that we live in a world where lots and lots of people are hurting. We live in a world of hurt. And some people are hurting because they feel caught in abusive relationships. Some are hurting because they're saddled with debt. Some are hurting because they've lost something precious to them, like their eyesight, and they know that they'll never see another sunset again. Some are hurting because the whole trajectory of their life has been altered by some deadly disease like cancer. Many today are hurting because the quality of their life, their standard of living, has been compromised because of an unhealthy organ like a kidney, or a heart murmur, or some other condition. Others today are hurting because they're elderly and they're weak and they're in nursing homes and they have no one left to visit them. Earlier this week, Muslim extremists looted and then burned a whole neighborhood where Christians lived in Pakistan. They destroyed more than a dozen homes, and 8 people were murdered for their faith. Two more Canadian soldiers were killed by a roadside bomb in Afghanistan, and we have the pictures, but you can look in the record or search the internet. When I saw the pictures of these soldiers, it hit me unlike any others because they looked so young. They hadn't lived, they hadn't experienced life. This Tuesday, 6-year-old Jules woke up and walked into the kitchen of her home on McNichol Drive, right here in Cambridge, to find both of her parents dead. And I don't know all the details. I don't know that anyone knows all the details right now. That seems very complicated and messy and completely something that a 6-year-old would never ever understand. And Jules lives next door to 2 families from this church, the Hopkinsons and the Sloans. And you want to talk about close to home, people who are hurting. The bad news, River City Church, is that many people are hurting in our world. The good news is that you and I don't have to wait until we feel overburdened by regret and remorse and guilt to do something good for them. You don't need to wait till you're burdened by regret or remorse to make a positive difference in other people's lives. You can do it out of gratitude for what you do have. You can do it out of sympathy for what others are lacking or going through. You can do it out of simple love for your fellow man, fellow woman. God's Word in the Bible, it gives us many references about doing good to others, and here's one that stood out for me this week as I was reflecting on this movie and on this topic, and it's from 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 12. And you should be able to read it. It says, live such good lives among unbelievers, that though they accuse you of doing wrong, they may see your good deeds and glorify God on the day that He visits us. So you don't need to wait till you're overcome by guilt to do some good. Second, you don't need to have any special qualifications to bless other people. Everyone here can do something. The youngest person to the oldest. Everyone here can do something to impact others' lives for good. You can write a note of encouragement. How about writing a note of encouragement to the families of the Canadian soldiers who lost their lives this week, who lost sons this week? You can write a check so that you can bless your Christian sisters and brothers in Pakistan as they buy possessions and as they rebuild homes. You can visit someone in a nursing home or in the hospital. You can talk to that lonely person in your office. You can send flowers to someone who's grieving. You can donate your blood. You can donate an organ. Everyone here with an Ontario driver's license should also be carrying one of these. It's a donor card. And I have on mine the first box checked. It says, if I can read it here, any part of my body may be used for the treatment of others. So if I die, if I have a car accident, any part of my body may go toward helping someone else. I remember hearing a Christian once say, well, Christians shouldn't donate their bodies and their organs to other people because what's going to happen to your body at the resurrection? What's going to happen when Jesus returns? And my response is this: since God created the world ex nihilo, God created the world out of nothing by His Word, then replacing an eye or a kidney or a heart is not too big for Him.